From the Raw Boxing TV studios, your host, Ranger. Information may cause headaches to hates or biased casual fans.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
The host that gives you facts with very little feelings. From the city of the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, the man who floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
Louisville, Kentucky. It's showtime.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome once again to Raw Boxing TV. I want to thank you for taking the time to hang with your boy today. Yes, I had to take a few days off to allow my voice to rest. I was sick for a while. I kept coughing during the live streams. I didn't like it. I will finish the live streams with a lot of throat pain, if you want to say it, for lack of better terms. But I want to thank you for being here today. Remember to hit the thumbs up as you come in. Subscribe, activate the notification bell. Of course, if you do subscribe, if you do get to see this video on the after show. And while you're at it, help the channel get a little bit of exposure by simply grabbing the link to this live stream and drop it in your social media platforms. Whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook, you never know who will be interested in some of this content that I put up. If you're watching on Twitter right now, as I'm streaming live to Twitter, why don't you go over there and just simply retweet the live? That would be greatly appreciated from me. If you're watching on Twitch, follow me and subscribe to me as well. And all of those good things, just so that we can have some good feedbacks going back to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram at Raw Boxing TV. Same thing in Twitter at Raw Boxing TV, and as well on Twitch at Raw Boxing TV. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a lot to talk about. But mainly this fight right here will allow it a few minutes for YouTube to send the notifications out and let people know that we are here. But as you come in, if you hit the thumbs up, then YouTube will send that notification a lot quicker, and we can get started with the show a lot sooner. How's that? I think that's a win-win for both of us, for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, boxing, hey, I gotta say, boxing is getting a little heated. I'm kind of liking what might potentially happen in 2022. You know, I'm kind of liking it. The YTBC community has not changed since 2008. You still got the same strong channels. You still got the same type of loyal subscribers. You still got the same comadres from the barrio that come to your channel to just see what they can go run and tell the other channels about you so they can make videos about you. The YTBC has not changed, and I quite frankly, I like it. Yordenis Ugas versus Errol Spence Jr. Let me see who we got here today so far. Mr. Rupsky, 1978. Let me put this here. Nesta Gibbs of TBV called Ugas a tune-up for Errol Spence Jr. That's very disrespectful, because Ugas beat Porter in my book and beat Manny Pacquiao. You know, I talk to Nesta from time to time. I've been to his stream, of course. He's got a very particular way of pointing some things out. I wouldn't call Ugas no tune-up. I mean, any real boxing fan, any true boxing fan would see that Ugas is not a tune-up fight. But then again, if that's what he wants to choose to go Ugas, I guess we'll wait and see after the fight. Now, remember, Ugas was supposed to be just a stay busy fight for Manny Pacquiao, since Errol Spence had that injury to his eye. Ugas comes in with 10 days, and he was supposed to be just a stay busy fighter for Manny Pacquiao, something to just keep him lubed up, keep the old man lubed up. And we all saw what happened. So Nesta Gibbs has his ways, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, like I said, I personally wouldn't call it. Let me see who else we have here. Boxing Magic. Mexican side. It's not that Ugas doesn't deserve the fight. It's just we're tired of Spence ducking Crawford. Oh, we'll go into that. I'm liking that. Stick around. We're gonna go into that because I kind of disagree with you on that one. I kind of disagree with you on that one. El Chido boxing in the building. What is going on, my friend? What's going on? Chat Perez. Yes, I'm back, man. I had to take a few days off, man. Get this pipes cleared up. Remember, guys, as you come in to hit the thumbs up so YouTube can send notifications out. We'll be getting started here in a minute. Ricky Ricardo. What up, Raw? Been here since 2007. Too many people sleeping on Ugas again. Hey, brother, like I said, let them keep sleeping. The night of the fight, they're going to wake up. I go Boxing 86 TV. Hope the title is a clickbait. Anyone trying to boycott an unification fight isn't a boxing fan. I totally agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. It is a clickbait because that's what's going on. People are after boycotting this fight. Okay, let me retract that because it's not fair. I just accused a bunch of innocent people. I don't want to say people like it's a general thing. I'll say Crawford fans and some boxing fans are after boycotting this fight. What they're not seeing is what's going on behind the veil, behind the wall, under the table, so to speak. And we're going to talk about that tonight. That's why I was saying to the brother earlier, I kind of disagree. Ricky Ricardo. Not Ricky Ricardo. What was the other brother's name? Let me see if I can find him here. Oh, to Boxing Magic. That's why I was telling Boxing Magic. I sort of kind of disagree, but we'll talk about it. And as always, once I'm done talking, I'm going to go after the comments because I'm going to ignore the comments while I say everything I have to say because I don't want to lose my train of thought. Then I'll go to the comments, and then after the comments, I'll drop the link. Whoever doesn't agree with anything I've said or something I have not said, more than welcome to jump in. We'll chop it up, keep it respectful, keep it boxing, and continue to feed the fire for this fight. But I agree with you, Boxing Knockout. 100% agree with you on that one. Chad Perez. It's just not the fight we wanted to see first. Oh, of course. Oh, I don't disagree. Y'all saw I said that. I said that to Ismael Salas, who, by the way, my last video before this one, it was an interview with Ismael Salas again, Yordenis Ugas trainer. I encourage you to go look at that interview. He says some key things about what's been leading up to this fight. This fight was supposed to happen even before the Pacquiao fight was supposed to take place. So I encourage you to go back and look at that interview. So Spence said he's doing all the heavy lifting. If that's his mentality, he already has one foot out the door. Mr. The GOAT, El Señor Mario. What's up, brother? Thank you for being here once again and constantly supporting the live stream. Thank you. How you tell a man I'm going to collect all the belts on my side, then come see you, and people say you correct. Hey, we gonna get there because I think for the first time, well, I wouldn't say the first time, but very rare do you and I look at the same line or agree upon a subject when it comes to the sport of boxing. I'm looking at this and I think this might be one of them. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. Out of respect to all of those of you that are here. One last time I have to say, remember to hit the thumbs up as you come in. If you have a Twitter, I'm also live streaming on Twitter. Just go over there real quick and retweet my live stream. And if you're watching on Twitch, subscribe and follow the channel for more content to come. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's no secret to you guys that I personally have told you guys in the past, because yes, I'm not going to run away from the things I've said in the past. Otherwise, I would not be genuine with you. I would not be honest with you. I have personally told you guys in the past that as boxing fans, right? As boxing fans, as a sport, as a fan of of a certain sport that requires your money in exchange for a certain event to take place, I have told you guys in the past, believe it or not, that we should and have the power. And I have put that hashtag we the people, not politicizing it. No, I'm not talking about the political sides of we the people, although I do believe in that aspect as well. But I have told you in the past that we the people, we the fans, possess the power to dictate certain aspects of the sport. And notice I use the word certain, not all, because I've noticed a lot of you are having fun taking my words out of context to go to other channels, make videos about something I supposedly said, and then other people hear it, and then they come to my channel expecting to hear the video, and they notice that what you're saying that I said isn't really what I said, and they stay as subscribers. So thank you so much for the free publicity I am getting in a lot of these channels. Always welcome. But just make sure you keep my words in context. G Funky Boxing in the building, one of the realest dudes out here. What's up, brother? Everybody go and subscribe to the brother, G Funky. Back to the subject. I'll give all the shout outs. I'll give all the shout outs once I'm done getting the things I have in my head out. It's no secret. It's no secret that I've told you guys that we possess the power to manipulate certain things in the sports, whether it be boxing, football, basketball, whether it be soccer, whether it be whatever kind of sport that requires your money in order to exist. What do I mean by that? Sometimes what you want to see, you don't get. Well, the problem with that is that if you do go ahead and pay, and notice I'm going to be extremely balanced tonight because I got to keep it balanced. I need y'all to be balanced with me as well. When you don't want to see something, you don't pay for something you don't want to see, because the minute you pay for something you want to see, then the salesman notices, wait a minute, I don't even have to have what the customer wants, and they're still paying me money. Then there is no need, there is no pressure, there is no voice screaming out loud, this is not what we want. What I want is this. However, this is one of the situations where I might sound like I'm going to contradict myself. In fact, some of you might say, Ranger, you're being biased because you're Cuban and Yordenis Ugas is Cuban. So that's why now you're backtracking on the things you've said in the past. And if that is the way you're thinking, honestly, believe me when I tell you this, I will not argue with you, and I cannot blame you, because heck, as a Cuban, I want my Cuban brother to succeed. I want him to have the opportunity that, quite frankly, he has fought for, that, quite frankly, he has positioned himself in, that, quite frankly, he has done everything it takes to get to where he's at. The position that he went up against Manny Pacquiao with 10 days notice and beat him and retired Manny Pacquiao. Oh, Ranger, well, Pacquiao was an old man. No. He wasn't an old man when he was beating up on Keith Thurman. Right? Manny Pacquiao didn't finish that fight all gasped and tired and lacking. If you know anything about boxing, when you're looking at a fight outside of the hype, if you know anything about boxing, that you know what took place that night wasn't so much age as much as it was a game plan. A game plan to suppress Pacquiao's attack from the mid-range, a game plan to suppress Pacquiao's attack from lateral movement, a game plan to suppress Manny Pacquiao's attack with foot movements and being first to the jab and doubling and tripling the jab, followed with a nice right cross. Don't come at me with no age stuff, because then I'm going to give you the technical stuff of it. And so I might sound tonight like I'm contradicting myself when I say, hey, you know what? You should pay for this fight, even though you don't want to see it. Because here's the deal. Often we complain about fighters that are following around other fighters and they're clout chasing other fighters and want to make it to the top of the mountain like that other fighter without necessarily doing the very things that that other fighter did to make it to the top of the mountain. They want the easy helicopter ride to the very top of the mountain. And we demand of these fighters to do the necessary steps to position himself to make it to where he gets the shot at the big fish. Well, in this case, my friends, I think we're looking at a fighter that has done just that. Yes. And I get it. A lot of you may not want to see this fight, but when it comes to boxing, when it comes to a fighter doing the very things sometimes we demand of other fighters, this is a perfect case. Let's look at a little recount here. Little recount of Ugas' career. Ugas was going to be used as stepping stone for other fighters. In fact, he fought 4 undefeated fighters back to back to back and beat them all back to back to back. Fighters that were being brought to fight Ugas to give him that. He beat the Cuban on his record, but Ugas had another plan. Ugas had hunger for his career because he now had the coach in his corner that understood the kind of fighter that he was, that come from the same school of fighting that he did in Cuba and Santiago de Cuba. Now these two are making a perfect team together, and all of a sudden, the stepping stone becomes the one that's stepping over the one that was supposed to step over him. So he beats 4 undefeated records back to back to back. He positions himself to fight Errol Spence. In fact, I remember all the buzz when the WBA elevated Yordenis Ugas as the super champion. I remember how people was like, well, he doesn't deserve it. Pacquiao's the man, even though Pacquiao had that belt hostage for almost 2 years. I remember that. Then the whole rumors about Pacquiao, of Ugas versus Spence started rising again, or for the first time, I should say. They did. In fact, there was paperwork that was going to be signed for this fight to take place before the Pacquiao fight. Pacquiao decides to come back. He decides to come back to fight Errol Spence. Money fight, big fight. Spence gets the injury 10 days prior to the fight. Yordenis Ugas steps in there 10 days prior to the fight, maybe 2 sparring sections. And now you have the current super champion of the WBA, the one whom in a lot of people's eyes did not deserve to be the current super champion of the WBA, fighting the real, in some people's eyes, current super champion of the WBA, Manny Pacquiao. So you can almost kind of say that this was Ugas proving to the people, I deserve to have this belt on me. The fight takes place and the rest is history. And I got to ask one question. To the real boxing fan, to the fan that sometimes demands, and I'm one of them, y'all already know I don't put up with no, oh, well, he ducking me. No. It ain't that he's ducking you. It's not that he's ducking you. 2 things I want to see from you. 1, do you bring something to the table? And 2, have you done everything that needs to be done to position yourself for this fight and kind of say with pride, I've earned this shot? This is one of those cases. This is one of those cases where the fighter, the B fighter, in this case, Yordenis Ugas, can proudly say, I have earned this fight. Can't nobody say otherwise. I mean, not only does he ruins the party for a lot of this undefeated fighters that he fought back to back to back to back, took 4 undefeated records back to back. Not only does he get robbed versus Sean Porter, because he got robbed versus Sean Porter. In fact, when was the last time you saw Sean Porter move backwards and try to avoid engaging for 12 rounds like he did in that fight? And the minute he will come and try to exchange and throw haymakers with Yordenis Ugas, Ugas would responsibly keep his hands up and stay in the middle of the fire and exchange some fireballs with Mr. Sean Porter. And eventually you saw Sean Porter kind of like, damn, he ain't going away. Let me box. Let me be on my back pedal. Let me use side lateral movements. And who was pressing the action? Ugas. Who was landing the cleaner shots? Ugas. Who was throwing the better combination? Ugas. Who dropped Porter in the last round and got taken away from and got taken that knockdown away from him? Ugas. Who got robbed in that fight? Ugas. So why is Ugas not the man now to deserve the shot when he's done everything we ask from certain fighters to do in order to get the big fish? And there's 2 big fishes in that division: Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Bud Crawford. And guess what? If Ugas beats Errol Spence Jr., then I want to see if Crawford fights Ugas. Mind you, I'm not saying Crawford's going to duck Ugas, because I don't think any of these fighters are scared of each other. There's a lot of things going on behind the table. A lot of people saying, Spence is ducking Crawford. We'll go into that, but I kind of disagree. There's things that are going on there that you don't really, you're not paying attention to that. You're not reading between the lines as to how the PBC and Al Heyman is moving their fighters. I get it. I may not like it as a fan, but I put myself in the fighter's shoe and I'm like, heck, screw the fans. I got to do me. Mind you, I don't like it as a fan. Some of these moves, I really don't like them. But I have to put myself in the fighter's shoes. Ugas gets robbed. Steps in with Pacquiao. Can't nobody in this panel here as we speak say that was a boring fight against Pacquiao. Can't nobody say Ugas was running away from Pacquiao. Can't nobody say that Ugas didn't outwork Pacquiao. Can't nobody say that wasn't a very one-sided fight. The max I gave Pacquiao was 4 rounds, and that was really being generous. Ain't nobody say none of that stuff. So why are we out here complaining about let's boycott this fight as if this is a fighter that hasn't earned his shot, as if this isn't the super champion of one of the most difficult and one of the most difficult sanctioning bodies there is, which is the WBA, one of the sanctioning bodies that has cost us the most headaches. And not only does he fight the right people, not only does he beat the right people, but he does other things outside of the ring. Not only fighting these fighters, but fighting the very sanctioning body that was trying to disrespecting him by mandating the super champ, something that had never been done in the history of the division, mandating the super champ to enter a tournament and going against a young gun without giving him the shot of the other big fishes. And Ugas took to the social media. And Ugas went public like a social justice warrior of some sort when it comes to his boxing career. Sometimes if you keep your mouth shut, you ain't going to eat. They're going to step all over you. They are going to step all over you. And if they step all over you, you ain't never going to be nothing. Absolutely nothing. So this young man has done not only within the ring everything that he takes to be where he's at, everything that it takes to get the shot that he's getting from the sports side of it. But this man, from a sports political standpoint of it, has also done what it takes to get the sanctioning body to really pay attention and really change their plans. He asked for it. He fought for it. He got it. For a lot of quote unquote boxing fans to be like, let's boycott this fight. One, tells me that you might be just a one-sided Crawford fan. Two, tells me you may not be really a boxing fan and you're just going by what you hear from this other YouTube channels. Or three, tells me that you really need to keep watching boxing and really need to appreciate this boxer's career in order to understand what's going on here. And actually, let's add a fourth one. It tells me you have not been paying attention to the way PBC and Al Heyman is moving. Could be any of those four. Could be. Now, the fight, I don't think, last time I talked to Salas, which was last week, they were still waiting on paperwork. So I'm hoping that the paperwork comes to fruition. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to get to the comments. I just got to get everything out of my head. And then I'll go, each comment one by one. And then if y'all want, I'll drop the link. Y'all can come in here and chop it up with me. Last I talked, the contract hadn't been signed yet. They were expecting it. I don't think there's nothing that's going to stop this fight from happening as of now. I really don't think so. I don't think that a real boxing fan, once this fight happens, a real boxing fan, I don't think is going to miss the opportunity to see two fighters fighting for all the belts. I just don't see that happening. How can we say, look, let's talk about this real quick. I'm going to go straight for those to say that Errol Spence is ducking Terrence Bud Crawford. Mind you, I disagree. You have the right to think however you want to think. That's perfectly fine. But you're here to listen to what I have to say. And what I have to tell you is that I respectfully disagree with the fact that some people think that Spence is somehow ducking Bud Crawford. Yeah, I get it. It doesn't look good when Spence walks out the way he walked out. I get all that. I understand all of that. I understand all that. But if you've been paying close attention, Errol Spence has been telling you guys for the longest time, for as long as I can remember, look, I got other fishes to fry. I got other big fishes to fry in this division. I'm going to go on and get this money. I'm going to go on and collect all this jewelry that's hanging around in this division. And then I'm going to go kill that big fish. And then I'm moving on up. And you hear the fighter tell you this, not once, not twice, but in 4 different interviews. He tells you the exact same thing along the exact same lines. And he's doing exactly what he tells you that he's going to do. He goes after Danny Garcia as a tune-up coming back fight. After that, he's going out right after Pacquiao. The fight didn't happen. Ugas beats Pacquiao. Now Ugas is the man. Now he's going after Ugas. He's collecting the big fishes. He's collecting the jewelries. But somehow, even after he tells you what he's going to do, even after he does or is doing the exact same thing he told you he's going to do, somehow, to some of y'all, that's still a duck? That's supposed to be a duck in the sport of boxing nowadays? Am I too old for this sport anymore? Or am I missing something? I don't know. When I drop the link, y'all feel free to tell me what I'm missing in this thing here, because last I checked, when a fighter's going after all the belts, regardless of who the champion is, if you're good enough to keep that belt, if you're good enough to get that belt, then you have deserved a shot at the big fish. And if the big fish beats you, people can't say that the big fish was cherry picking because he went after the weakest champ. No, people need to say he went after the champion and took his jewelry, whether they like it or not. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what needs to be done in the sport of boxing. I personally don't understand why people will be saying this. Thank you for the super chat. Gracias, mi hermano. Everybody go and subscribe to this brother. If y'all want to see some classic boxing videos, y'all need to go check this brother out right here. Y'all need to go check this brother out right here. Thank you so much, man. Am I too old for the sport of boxing that now I'm missing something? You know, sometimes we see people begging for money, and some of y'all might say, well, you look young enough. You know, they hiring down the street. Instead of asking for money out here, why don't you go and get you a job and do what it takes to put food on the table? And then we see a boxer doing the exact same thing, not begging, but fighting for what he deserves, beating the obstacles, positioning himself, and the fight should be boycotted. Then we see a fighter telling you what he's going to do before he goes and gets the big fish. He's living up to his word, and somehow he's a duck. Help me understand that. You've seen the interviews. The young brother has told you what he's going to do. The young brother has been doing what he said he was going to do. And y'all still talking about he ducking Crawford? Why are you waiting on Crawford? It's not the time to fight Crawford yet. He ain't been through the other big fishes. He hasn't taken the other belts. He hasn't. If he hasn't done what he told you he was going to do, and you've seen that he's been doing some of the steps he told you he's going to do, why are y'all still crying about he's ducking Crawford? Errol Spence is not ducking Crawford. In fact, here's a little surprise. You ready? Here's the little surprise. And I say this with a lot of confidence. I'm telling you this with a whole lot of confidence. If the Ugas fight versus Spence didn't happen, if Spence somehow did want at Crawford, which I believe he does, the fight would still not be happening. You know why? Because Al Heyman is the one that advises the fighters. And one thing I've noticed over the years, that every single Al Heyman fighter listens to Al Heyman a lot more than they listen to their promoters. And in some cases, we love it. In some cases, we hate it. Al Heyman told Keith Thurman, from what I'm hearing from an interview that I heard, that I seen, that he was going to get a shot at Crawford before Spence did. And guess what? Everything Al Heyman has promised his fighters is literally happening. Al Heyman is also making the necessary moves for whatever happens. One of the most lucrative, one of the most exciting weight division in boxing. He's making the necessary move to make sure that a lot of those belts stay within the PBC so that he can keep the horse by the rein. so that he can maneuver the welterweight division in the PBC. I don't like it as a fan, but this is why it's happening, so we must not blame Errol Spence. I'm a fan of both of these guys, but I understand also that there is an advisor in the middle. An advisor in the middle that's trying to keep the power, that's trying to keep the money so that he can put the big paycheck on his fighters' purses. An advisor that now the Spence is not, now that Crawford is no longer with Top Rank, which was one of the leading factors as to why this fight didn't happen any sooner. He's still not a PBC fighter either. And you guys are forgetting about that. Terrence Crawford might decide to be like a Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, hey, just a one-fight deal for me, homie. And Al Heyman might say, either 2 or 3. And guess who has more power to do that? Canelo or Boyd Crawford? Canelo done it. Crawford ain't got that power because Crawford is the one that was being destroyed by his own promoter when the promoter said, I lose money promoting Terrence Bud Crawford. When his own promoter was destroying the career he was supposed to be promoting and elevating. And to that, there's some type of fact. To that, there's some type of truth. But I blame not only Bob Arum, but I also blame Terrence Crawford. I mean, you put a microphone in front of the guy, he don't know what to say. So when you going to fight Errol Spence? Shoot, I'm ready. That's it. And you care to elaborate on that answer? I mean, it is what it is. That's it. That is it. Same thing with Tank Davis. Look, I hate the fact that Mayweather talks for this kid, but this kid doesn't talk. And I wish Mayweather would stop talking about himself and talk about the kid, because then I would understand it even more. In the case of Terrence Bud Crawford, not only was he an enemy, we could qualify an enemy of PBC Top Rank, but now he's no longer with Top Rank, but he's also not a PBC fighter. He's not an Al Heyman stable fighter either. And Al Heyman, being the smart businessman that he is, because if you think Al Heyman got to where he's at by being a dumb, then it's crazy, because I think that had Terrence Bud Crawford left the Top Rank a lot sooner, he would be a much bigger star than he is right now. And when you look at the record of Top Rank, and I'm going to go back 2 decades, I can't think of any single superstar that's been with them. Well, I can't think. There might be one. I want to make that clear. I just right now can't think of one that's left through the good doors. I mean, you think of Mayweather, had to buy himself out of the contract. You look up top, Golden Boy, Oscar de la Hoya. You think of Rigondo, when your promoter says HBO regurgitates when they mention his name. Now you look at Terrence Bud Crawford. I lose money when I promote this guy. And I can't really think of one that's left in good terms. You look at Teofimo Lopez, all the ordeals, there's a lot of more drama behind that fighter. I can't think of nothing good over the past 2 decades that's come out of or a good relationship that has ended well between a fighter and Top Rank. If there is one, feel free to post it. So Terrence Crawford now is a free agent, but he ain't getting a shot because he's not a stable fighter. He's not getting a shot at the belts. He might get a shot at other things, like a one-time Keith Thurman, like my man Biz would say. In fact, that is exactly what's going to happen once if Keith Thurman beats Barrios. Because so far, Al Heyman has kept the promises to his fighters. And he promised Keith Thurman, you going to get Terrence Bud Crawford before Errol Spence gets Terrence Bud Crawford. Because he told Keith Thurman, you're going to get Manny Pacquiao before Errol Spence gets to Manny Pacquiao, because the lucrative fight in the welterweight division to make at that time was an undefeated Keith Thurman versus an undefeated Errol Spence. But Keith Thurman lost against a so-called old man. That's just it. And if you guys only knew how much Ugas' life changed after he went to Al Haymon, you would understand why Ugas, when Al Haymon speaks, Ugas just says, yes, sir. And you would understand why a lot of these fighters, when Al Haymon speaks, they say, yes, sir. Promoter, you heard him? Now do as he says. I don't like it as a boxing fan. It prevents me from seeing a lot of the fights I, as a boxing fan, want to see. But now in my mind, I'm the fighter. And I'm thinking to myself, if I get the fight they won, even though I know I can win, but if I lose, then the very people that are wanting this fight are going to call me trash. It's going to affect my purse. It's going to affect my record. It's going to affect my stocks. But if I follow this advice from my advisor, it's putting a lot of money in my pocket. And I'm going to get to that fight when the money's right. I'm going to get to that fight whenever he tells me that I need to get to that fight. And if I'm the fighter, I look out for myself. Now, mind you, I understand all of y'all as boxing fans, because I personally don't like some of these moves, because it keeps me from seeing some of these fights that I want to see. This is what we got. Spence versus Ugas. Spence versus Ugas, although it may be the fight not a lot of y'all want to see, it's a hell of a fight. It's a fight, quite frankly. And that's another thing about Ugas before I keep going. Ugas ain't never been given no belt. Like, oh, well, Ranger, he got elevated without fighting for it. Okay. Did he not fought the guy that had it before that? Did he not fought and beat the quote unquote real super champ of the WBA? He did, right? So we can't say that, hey, we need to boycott this because this is not what we want to see. It may not be what you want to see, but then there's other people that do want to see, and then there's other people that value the struggles and the journey of certain boxers, or of all boxers, really, any boxer that decides to take the necessary steps to move obstacles out of the way to get to where he needs to be in order to get a shot at the big fish. This is that case. This is that case. We can't really be out here acting like Spence is ducking Crawford when there's been a pattern that's being followed for years. You guys are seeing this pattern unfold case by case, and somehow you still choose to ignore the pattern. I'm here to tell you the fight versus Crawford is not going to happen until Crawford is at least a multiple fight deal with, under PBC and Al Haymon. He has to be a multiple fight deal with them. Otherwise, he ain't going to get the Errol Spence fight, because Al Haymon is not willing to see all of those belts go away from the PBC. Because if that happens, Al Haymon loses the control that he's looking to gain and that he partially has over that division. He's going to see it go away on a free agent who only came in to fight a one-fight deal. Because you must say, so Ranger, you're already saying that Bud is going to take all these belts. You just don't know when you're dealing with such a world-class fighter like Bud Crawford. So you have to assume the worst when it comes to securing the future When you are securing your future, you assume the worst so you can take the necessary steps to fight the worst in case the worst does come. And this is what Al Heyman is looking at. You're not going to get Errol Spence just yet. Who you signed with? Are you a free agent? Are you willing to give me a 2 or 3 fight deal? Oh, you're not. Oh, okay. There's Keith one-time Thurman after he fights Mario Barrios. You ain't getting no Errol Spence. You're not. Because there's a good chance I might lose the control I have in the weight division. Errol Spence has not collected all the belts like he said he would before he gave the opportunity or before he signed the fight against Terrence Crawford. We can't be out here screaming or talking about Errol Spence is ducking Crawford. It may look like that, but I'm looking at the pattern. In fact, I can't blame you guys. At one point, I'm like, wait a minute, this kid looked like he ducking. But I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's follow the patterns here. Let's follow the patterns here. And when you look at the puzzle, there's still a lot of pieces to be put together before the puzzle is complete. It's not completed yet. You ain't going to see the fight yet. You're not going to see the fight just yet. He told you there's too many big fishes for me to fry. So I'm going to go get these fishes. I'm going to collect all these belts. And then I'm going after that man. And somehow today, that's considered ducking. Well, if that is considered ducking, then quack, quack, you go, man. Quack, quack to any boxers. Go after all the jewelries and position yourself for when you do get that big fish. So when you do offer us that mega fight, position yourself not just as one of the top fighters in the division, but as one of the top fighters in the division with all the jewelries. Not just the best, but the best with all the crowns. The king that has dethroned many kingdoms before getting to that other kingdom that will once again place him as the one at the top of the mountain. Ain't nobody else but me. And that's either going to be Crawford or Spence the night of the fight, that fight happens. If, parenthesis, if it ever happens. If it ever happens. Does Ugas deserve the fight? Absolutely, he does deserve the fight. Is it the fight we wanted to see? No. Am I going to pay for the fight? Yes. Is it a fight that every boxing fan should watch? Absolutely, for the sake of the sport, because now you're promoting a fight involving a fighter that has done what it takes to get to where he's at. And if we're not going to reward good deeds, if we're not going to reward struggles and defeating barriers, if we're not going to reward a fighter that was once on the dust, ready to retire, just being born again and positioning himself where he's at, then my goodness, we got a trouble. We got a lot of problem in the sport of boxing, and we'll never see any boxer want to succeed, because apparently it doesn't matter if I do what it takes. Fighters and boxers and fans still don't appreciate it. Still don't appreciate it. And so I ran a poll here. Appreciate everybody that has participated on the poll. And the poll here says, will you be boycotting this fight? The two choices are, yes, Ugas doesn't deserve this. No, Ugas deserves this shot. I meant to put. I don't know how the hell I got shot. Maybe that autocorrect. 85% of you thinks that Ugas deserves it. And I'm happy to see that. I keep in mind also that a lot of you, most of the time, agree with what I say. But nevertheless, I I agree with that poll. So let's go to the comments, and then I'll be dropping the link. Send a shout out to everybody that's been here, so we can start warming the engine for the second phase of this live stream. In case some of y'all do want to step in here and chop it up with your boy, I'm open for discussion. Pagan War Master, what's up, my brother? Thank you for being here. Ugas deserves this, and he can even win too. G Funky Boxing in the building. I'm not boycotting the fight because it's a really good matchup. I agree with you, my man. I agree with you. Boxing Magic Spence, he will clean his side in the streets. And by the post of doing all the heavy lifting, sounds like he needs help now. Stefan 4722, G Funky, I agree. It's a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. I only have an issue if the winner doesn't fight Crawford. Well, you know, I would have an issue with that too. I know that on the Ugas side, that's what they want. I mean, we talked about that, me and Ismael Salas in the interview. That's what they want. Ugas has already beaten Crawford fairly easy in the amateurs, and I know that's another different world, but Crawford's sort of the same fighter he was in the amateur. A switch hitter, very technical. And you just never know. Toby Barrett, salute, my brother. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for being here. Knuckle boxing. Your pathetic pointing fingers. Okay, the beef is starting. Let me see. Mario P. The GOAT. Spence has a detached retina. Let's not forget he's coming back way too early. We have not forgotten about that. In fact, that is a very big concern to me. And I was going to talk about that in the prediction. And I'm going to talk about that in the official prediction to this fight. Once the fight is officially signed, announced with a date and everything, that is one of the main subjects and topics that I'm going to talk about. Not only that, but the fact that Errol Spence is still at the weight division he fought as an amateur, and he is going up in age, and the body does not forgive you. The body starts demanding other things from you. I'm not going to be making excuses for Spence, but we have to consider everything. El Cotto in the building. What's up, my brother? What's up, Raw Boxing TV? Brooklyn Knight in the building. Brooklyn, New York. I miss the East Coast from time to time, man. I might go back to visit from time to time. I might go back. Pacquiao took 2 years off after Thurman. Bad move. Might have been a bad move. Might have. But you know, sometimes the old body needs the rest. And just because you see a fighter off the ring doesn't mean he's off the gym. Off the ring, off the gym, two different worlds. Trust me. Mario Brown in the building. What's up, my brother? I'm going to be dropping the link here pretty soon, guys. Chad Pettis, there's been oversaturating. They've been oversaturating the market. That's why I can't pay for this. There's better UFC fights at the moment. Jake Paul numbers are even hurting. I hope PBC sees what's going on the Ortiz versus Martin fight. You have a right to do as you please, my man. I will be paying for it, though. Can't criticize Spence for not fighting Crawford right away after an injury, but Canelo for ducking Benavidez. Hold on. Can't criticize Spence for not fighting Crawford right away after an injury, but not Canelo for ducking Benavidez. What does Benavidez have to offer to Canelo? Think about it. I don't want to make this about them, but think about that for a minute. There's absolutely nothing for Benavidez to give to Canelo. If anything, Canelo is the one given to everyone in that division right now. Because there's only one belt that Canelo doesn't have, and it's the regular WBA. Morrell Jr. has that. And even Morrell Jr., even him being a Cuban fighter, I'll tell you, he doesn't deserve a fight with Canelo. From the point that Canelo now owns the division, he has the right to call some shots. And is Canelo adding to your legacy, or are you also adding to Canelo? Is Canelo adding to your purse, or are you also adding to Canelo's purse? I don't think so. Benavidez might add a little bit to the purse, but not to the legacy. And in fact, I can tell you this right now, that fight will happen. Maybe not at 168, but Benavidez is going to have to make that jump to 175. And Canelo's going to be at 175. I promise you that. G-Funk Boxing, Tony Barrett, I'm doing a great, oh, I got you. 25,000 Ks, Chad, that's all your boy sold, my man. Shoot, Tank Davis sold more pay-per-views than that. He sold 55,000. I thought Paul was good for boxing. I thought he was bringing eyes to the sport. I thought your boy Paul was going to bring it. Ugas is the best fighter Spence will fight. Yeah, correct. In terms of now, yes. In terms of fame, you already know how it is with the Cuban fighters. You know. Let's see. Boxing Magic, the Spence fanboys pointing fingers at Canelo. LOL. How sad, Mario Brown. Get that? Come on. Mario's a good dude. He got a right to, he got a right to speak how he want to speak. Mario's a good dude. The GOAT Mario P. Danny Garcia damaged Spence's eye with a right hand, made Spence put his gloves up his eye at the end of the round. It wasn't sparring. It might have been, because I know Danny Garcia, the last 15 seconds of the fight, that's when he decided to throw bombs. The entire fight, he went to sleep. He was eating breakfast with jabs, lunch with jabs, supper with jabs, dinner with jabs, before bedtime snacks with jabs. But right before the fight ended, he decides to just put on the bombs together. Too late, my man. Too late. 24/7 G Funky Spence got a hard road ahead of him if he gets past Ugas. It's then going to be Crawford, Annis, or Ortiz. And this is what I mean. Thank you, Stefan, for that comment. This is what I mean. Now put those names in your head. If the PBC, if Al Heyman is able to keep all the belts within their fighters, look at all them hell of a names down there. That means all of those fighters, whoever is not with the PBC, they will have to do a cross promotional. Money has to be made, or they might just have to jump the fence, because the PBC, again, I want to repeat myself to make it very clear, I don't like it, but the PBC might say, you know what, now that we got all the belts, only our fighters get the shot, unless the sanctioning bodies start mandating other fighters and stick to the mandate. I'm not going to mandate you and then see, but we're still going to fight this guy. No. It's either, if the PBC, if the sanctioning body says, yeah, you got to fight this fighter even though he's with Top Rank, or you going to have to drop that belt, and they live by the word, then I can see something different happening. But if the sanctioning bodies, most of them, all of them, all they want is that money. If they play along with the Al Heyman crew, with the promotional companies, then you might just see that. You might just see Al Heyman, once he has control of all the belts, he might just give shots to fighter within the PBC. And that will be horrible for boxing. Horrible. Hit the like button. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to hit the like button. Grab the link to this live stream. Drop it on your social media platform, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook. Allow the channel, help the channel get some growth. It all depends on you guys. G Funky. I agree, Step. Yeah, correct. That was a good comment. I don't understand how him beating Pac didn't earn him a shot at Spence. That doesn't make sense to me. Correct. That's why the WBA wanted to start that little anti-Ugas campaign by mandating the super champ, which it had never been done, to try to keep him away from Spence. But the man Ugas did the right thing to position himself. He fought. He said the right words. In fact, he says some things that ticked the president of the WBA off, and he put the president of the WBA against the wall with a sword to his neck, and he said, fine. Standalone, step aside, please. Ugas, you can fight Spence. Sometimes you got to talk to get what you want, ladies and gentlemen. Got to talk. Boxing Magic Spence. Let me drop the link here. Oh, shoot. Okay. Spence said he will take the easy road first. Spence been on that easy road for 2 or 3 years now. If you ask me, though, Spence has a better resume than Crawford does. Should we rewind the cassette and look at the resume and who these fighters have fought? Who was the first one to beat Kell Brooks? Who was the first one to beat Kell Brooks? Major Key Boxing in the building. Give me just a second, sir, and I'll get with you, my brother. Who was the first one to beat Kell Brooks? It was Spence. It was Spence. How about Sean Porter? It was Spence. When you look at the resume, the one that has fought the better opposition to now is Spence Jr. So when people say he's been on an easy walk, it's hard for me to grasp at that. It really is, because both of these fighters, with the exceptions of a few fighters over the last few years, they've been fighting similar opposition, except Crawford's been getting some of the leftovers from Spence. So I kind of disagree with you on that, Magic. Kind of disagree with you. Is Mikey Garcia a better fighter than Crawford? That ship has sailed. What's up, Major Key? What's up, my brother? Welcome, man.
What's going on? Yes, sir. How's everything going?
So far, so good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I can't complain, man. Trying to make this money. I took a little break because it was slow, and I heard you talking over here, man. Yo, there's a lot of things going on in that welterweight division, man. Like Standalone took some step aside money, but he's nothing to play with. Conor Benn's nothing to play with, even though he got some things to work on. Virgil Ortiz is nothing to play with, and Jerome Boots Ennis is nothing to play with. You know what I mean? So these guys got to get it in. You know, they got to forget all the negotiations, forget all about this and that. You know what I mean? They're champions. They've been champions. They need to get it in. That's it. You know?
Oh, I agree, but I'm trying to tell people, these fighters, they listen to Al Heyman too much. I mean, too much, in my opinion. Sometimes it's not what they're doing is not good for boxing, but they just too loyal to this dude.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Ranger, all you got to do is say, look, he's an advisor. Everybody says he's an advisor. So why do we need to ask him anything, right? Because he can advise as much as he wants, but an advisor, if I'm not mistaken, just advises you, and you can tell him, yeah, you know, I appreciate the info, but I'm going to go this route instead. Correct. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
But nah, it's like, you know, it's like an advisor acting like a manager and saying, nah, you need to do this. That's the way they're making it.
Exactly what he is. He's an advisor, but he's a manager. He's everything. Now, he might allow these managers and these promoters to put up a front and act like managers and promoters. But when all these people get in front of camera, Major Key, I guarantee you, they getting in there with a script written by Al Heyman. I can guarantee you that. And I don't like it, but that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what happened. Let me get to this comment real quick. G Funk Boxing and the new we'll get Ugas versus Crawford, another good matchup with a history from the amateurs. I hope so. I hope so. Mario, if y'all think Ugas gonna beat Spence, y'all don't know boxing. I'm sorry. How Ugas gonna beat Spence? Mario, I wouldn't say that. How Ugas gonna beat Pacquiao? How Ugas gonna beat Sean Porter? How Ugas gonna beat Delorme? How Ugas gonna beat this, and that? but somehow they're doing it. So I get what you're saying, but to say we don't know boxing because how Ugas gonna be, that question you just asked has been asked in the past already more than 3 times. Chad Pettis in the building. What's up, man? And by the way, the link is there, guys. I want to come in and share your thoughts. We're here. Chad Pettis, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, brother.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Well, the reason why I'm kind of salty about this fight happening is one, how can Spence, okay, besides the money, and this is it, it's just the only explanation I can see is money, okay? How can Spence go in and fight Manny Pacquiao for the WBA regular and skip over Ugas, who had the WBA super? That's the thing that I want to hear from a lot of these fans. How can you be okay with him jumping over Ugas and going to fight Manny for the regular and have that same energy when it comes to, oh, now Ugas is okay to fight? Even though Ugas, he's a solid fighter, he's good. Keep that same energy when it comes to the reason he's skipping over Crawford this time around instead of trying to make that Crawford fight first, right? Because if you're going in the same vein of the money, who brings the money? Which fight is going to generate more money? Is it going to be Crawford Spence, or is it going to be Ugas Spence?
No, I agree with you, but then I'm also telling you this, and this is what I was telling Major Key just now. It's like when I hear these patterns, when I hear Keith Thurman say, Al Heyman promised me I was going to get Crawford before he gets a shot at Spence. And then I hear Spence saying, I'm going to get all these belts before I go to Crawford. And you see the patterns taking place in front of you. Aside from all the valid questions you just asked, those patterns give me a better understanding of why a lot of these things is not happening. And when Al Heyman is involved, money is the main objective. Money, control, and power. And a lot of the times it's not good for the sport.
Yeah, I never thought, honestly speaking, and you could probably catch me on a couple of lives earlier this year saying I didn't believe that Pacquiao was going to fight Spence. I thought he was going to fight Crawford. I thought it made more sense, right?
Yeah.
But you know, some people were like, you know, my contrarians were like, oh, this and this and that. I think he's going to fight Spence first. But look what happened. Never happened. He fought Ugas. Okay, well, Ugas right now deserves the fight, man. He deserves the fight. And look at your poll. You know, I know people may say that he doesn't deserve the fight, and that's their opinion. But my opinion is, yeah, he does deserve the damn fight, bro, because he's got a fucking belt, and we need to unify this whole division.
Correct.
Like, we've been waiting for too long. You know what I mean? And you could say, you know, that he went to Ugas instead of to duck Terrence Crawford or whatever. Okay, no problem. So we'll see afterwards, because whoever wins this fight should be thinking about undisputed, and that's
got no other option.
That's what I'm saying.
My problem is with that. Okay, Ugas does deserve the fight, but I think Ugas should have been after. We're looking at another year of negotiations. I don't know if it happens in 2022. Crawford versus Spence. They may try to feed Errol Thurman. Who knows? Or Ugas may upset the apple cart. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's another fight that loses the steam. Another Wilder Joshua fight, right?
Another Pacquiao Mayweather.
Another Pacquiao Mayweather loses the steam. Like, why can't we see these fights when we want to see them and be okay with crumbs? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that Ugas doesn't deserve the fight now. But if you look at it the way that I just said it, why is it okay for Errol to fight a Pacquiao for the WBA regular when there's already a WBA super? It's the same thing that we get with this franchise crap. It's the same thing. Like, you can't have the same. You can't have less energy for one thing than the other.
I guess my response, Chad, was simply saying that I never saw it actually happening. So I wasn't okay with it to begin with. Is my point. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I didn't see the fight. I didn't see the fight happening. To be completely honest with you, I didn't see that actually come into fruition. But I guess the money was like what Ranger was saying. The money was offered, and you know, something was negotiated to where Pacquiao was happy, and that happened. You know, but I really didn't think it was going to happen. To be honest with you, I was a naysayer at the beginning of the year, saying, "Yo, that Errol Spence Pacquiao is not going to happen." I see Crawford versus Pacquiao next.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying, man. Is that the energy is not consistent. It's not you necessarily. It's a lot of these people. I've been watching a bunch more channels like recently, and I just see the excuses. I'm just like, how can we justify one thing and be okay with one thing but not the other? You know, it just doesn't make sense, man. The thing is, we're not benefiting the sport of boxing. We're benefiting the boxer itself, who's gonna age out anyways.
Exactly, and that's what I said earlier. When you look at the way Al Heyman is working, it's about the fighter, not about the sport. It's not about how can we make boxing better. It's about how can I put more money in my boxer's pocket? How can I make his resume better? And this is why I think this is the main reason why I think all these fighters are so freaking loyal to Al Heyman. Let me get to these comments real quick. Mark Nash, everybody check him out, brother. Y'all killing me. Always talking about one division like the man's whole career doesn't matter. Y'all only want to count what he's done in the last 3 years. Nah, man. Boxing has a lot to do with the present as well, and with the not so far present. Ain't nobody denying Bud Crawford what Bud Crawford's done here. And I mean, the link is right there.
And having another belt.
Ain't nobody denying that. You'll never hear me deny that Crawford is a 3-division world champ. Ever. Are you kidding me? But somehow, well, I shouldn't say somehow, but Spence, to the public eye, is a bigger star, a better ticket salesman. And when you talk about Al Heyman, money is the first objective. And I'll repeat myself again. As a boxing fan, I don't like it. As a boxing fan, a lot of Al Heyman's moves are not good for boxing, but I'm also seeing the pattern and I understand why. I'm not out here talking about I'm boycotting this fight because this fight's not happening. No, this fight's not happening because it's not supposed to happen just yet but let me tell you this right now. If Bud Crawford does not sign a multiple fight deal with the PBC, he will never, ever get a shot at Spence unless the sanctioning bodies step in the middle of it, demand this fight, and actually threat to follow through with the consequences of not going through with the mandate. I guarantee you that. HLD in the building. What's up, brother? Somebody got to mute there. Did I cut anybody before I read the comment? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was just saying, to finish my thought.
Yeah.
That having another belt does not guarantee the fight even more, honestly, because the man's asking for a 70-30 split.
Yeah.
Already. So having another belt, it's going to try to make him feel like he's the A side even more, and I honestly think that that's going to cause the fight not to happen even more.
Correct. And honestly speaking, that money issue that they've been having, now she going hard to the Nebraska farm. That issue with the money, I don't know if you remember this, Major Key. Oh, Major Key fell through. Major Key fell out. I don't know if y'all remember this issue with the money, but that money issue's been around for a while. This fight, oh no, I want 50-50. No, I want 60-40. No, I want 46. And all of these things are implemented by. Do you not think Al Heyman said, hey, you're going to go out there and say that you want 60-40 because he going to feel like he's the one that earns 60-40. And when you start that back and forward between both of you, that's a nice excuse as to why I need to keep holding that fight before we give it to him. I need him to be a PBC fighter before he gets that shot. HLD de la Isla del Encanto, de la Isla del Coquí, Puerto Rico. What's up, my brother?
Como estamos, Rangers? What's going on, Chad? Right? That's what's on the panel. I can't see here. Yeah, that's Chad.
Yeah,
right?
what's up,
What's going on,
Yeah,
guys?
Chad Pettis in the building too, man.
What's the debate? Are we still talking about people? I don't know. I don't want to say harshly. Is it crying about that Ugas is getting the fight first?
Yeah, we're boycotting. A lot of people boycotting this fight. Well, they're running a campaign to boycott the fight.
I think it's prematurely to think that this fight is not going to happen afterwards. I just think everybody's just look. This was the plan from the beginning. You could go back, I don't know, a year or two now, and you can see that this was always the plan. I mean, yeah, we had an accident that delayed things with Spence and all that, but and now we had the retina. But come on, man, this was what they always said it was going to happen. They wanted a first clean house, get all the belts on one side, and then you can branch outward. But that's business too. I mean, that's smart business.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
Look at this. Ugas lost 4 times, right? This is from one of our retractors, right? Ugas lost 4 times, but they can't tell you that Ugas has not done what needs to be done to be where he needs to be at. Ugas lost 4 times. If we're gonna go by how many times Ugas has lost, or any fighter has lost, that tells me you're a fanboy and you don't really know no boxing. You know what I mean? Like, Ugas doesn't deserve this fight because he's lost 4 times. Yeah, he might have lost 4 times, but he's been on a roll, taking undefeated records, getting Rob versus Sean Porter, retiring Manny Pacquiao, fighting the WBA, and now he's here. So what? Let's deal with it.
I think what the crybabies are doing is, yeah, everybody wants to see the fight, and if you're a Crawford hardcore fan, of course you want to see the fight. You know what I mean? But don't deny it to overall in boxing to know that this still is a good fight, Spence and Ugas. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I want to see the fight. Whoever the winner of that is, I want them to fight Crawford. I want that to happen.
Oh, of course.
But am I going to be mad about it? No, man. This is a great fight. Stop whining.
Now watch this. Al Heyman, by no means, under no circumstances, was going to allow this fight to take place next. So if not Crawford, who? Oh, Boots Ennis? What is Boots Ennis? A good contender for the division. I get it. Future hell of a boxing star, but still a contender. Who? Ortiz, a hell of a fighter in the division, but another contender. Who? Conor Ben, another future top fighter, but still a contender in the division. If not Crawford, ain't nobody else in that division more deserving of a shot against that belt, against Spence or against Crawford, than the man that has eliminated every obstacle in the way to get to where he's at, and that's Yordenis Ugas. You can't nobody deny that. It doesn't matter how you want to paint the picture. So we can be out here hating, but hey, that's what you do. So keep doing it. Hey,
the way I see it, as long as you have a belt,
that's right.
As long as you have a belt, you have a right to unify, and you have a right to be dethroned.
That's right.
That's that. So that's mean, yo, man, it's a great fight. That's all I got to say. I can't wait to see it because I think it's going to be a great fight.
I agree, man. I agree. Major Key, you fell out, man. What's up with you, man?
Hey, my bad, brother. Give me one moment, man, because I fell out because my wifey called me, but then she I just pulled up to the crib and she pulled out to talk to me real quick. So
yeah.
Give
definitely.
me like 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Most def.
See, Mario Brown here. Crawford should fight Virgil Ortiz or Josh Taylor. Well, Crawford. I think Crawford gonna fight. So he just got done fighting Porter not long ago. Thurman gonna fight Barrios. I'm telling you guys, there's a good chance, 80 or 90% chance, that the next fight for Crawford is going to be Keith Thurman. And I'm telling you again and again, he's not getting a shot at Spence until he is a multiple deal fighter under the PBC. Al Heyman.
You think so?
That's what it's looking like, because think about it. If say by any chance, because this is boxing, nothing's set on stone. by any chance, which there's a good chance, that Crawford beats Spence and he's just a one fight deal. He's one of like, I'm here, I fight, now I'm free to go anywhere I go on one of the most lucrative weight divisions in the sport. If the PBC doesn't have control of that division, what does Al Heyman has?
They've already destroyed the division anyways.
Yeah, but they still
wait this long for a undisputed fight.
They have, but they also, although they've destroyed the division, they have the belts, and belts are money makers. Belts are money makers, and their first objective is not so much the sport itself, the fan themselves, is the Benjamin Franklins. That's their main objective. That's what the PBC, that's what Al Heyman's all about.
When does Thurman and Barrios fight? Is it January or February?
January, ain't it? I gotta look. I haven't even paid attention to that fight.
That fight should never be happening. There should be I agree. There should have been a Lopez 2. Should be Thurman Lopez 2. Try to get that win to look nicer, man. That he looked bad against.
They could be setting it up like you're saying, Ranger. That the winner of if Thurman beats Barrios, he sees maybe Crawford in May or June, and we might see that undisputed, by the end of the year.
I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen. I mean,
and it builds the fight. I mean, Crawford beating Thurman is a big name. You know what I mean? I know it's if you think about, okay, he's been out for a good minute, but it's still a big name, and it builds the fight for Spence and Crawford.
That is correct. If
Crawford beats Ugas,
correct.
I mean, Spence beats Ugas.
That is correct. That's the thing. That's why I'm trying to get people to understand. Let's not forget that this is boxing, and that question about is Ugas how Ugas gonna beat Spence? That question's been asked 5 different times already about this fighter, and he's done it. Don't ask me the how. He's done it. I don't think that he'll beat Spence, but I think it'll be a hell of a fight. And I'm certainly not taking away the chance. The chance is there. The game plan is there. And I just think we need to sit down and watch this fight. This ain't no walk in the park for Spence. I hear a lot of people talking about this is a tune-up fight. This is going to be easy, 4, maybe 5 rounds max. I'm like, what are y'all smoking? I mean, grant you, it's boxing. It might happen just like they say. But 4, 5 rounds, easy walk in the park? Come on, y'all need to stop it. Mark Nash here says, when was the last time Spence fought 3 times in a year? Or any PBC fighter, or 3 times in a year? Oh, no, I agree. Hey, Mark. No,
that's facts.
Mark, everything you're saying that I've mentioned in the past. And I need you to understand that the position I'm taking tonight is looking at both sides of the argument as a boxing fan, but I'm also seeing the patterns they're following. And I'm also saying here that a lot of the moves they make, I personally don't like. Quite frankly, they're not good for boxing. So I get it. Trust me, I get it. I'm just also defending this whole boycott the fight. I'm like, okay,
but it doesn't deserve pay-per-view.
It's always going to be pay-per-view because
if you can't put, I mean, you had Thurman Garcia not on pay-per-view. You had Thurman and Porter on not on pay-per-view. Like, how can you merit somebody who has been fighting on these low rated cards be on pay-per-view? Like, I get it, you came off of a Manny Pacquiao fight, but it does not merit it. Like, you don't have the selling power for it, and they'll find that out. I mean, the reason Spence has done decent on pay-per-view is because of the dancing partners he's had. Like, when they go on pay-per-view, it's a Mikey Garcia. You have a whole country behind him. Like, Ugas, he's what, Cuban?
Yeah. And he doesn't have a lot of backing.
When has a Cuban fighter done well on pay-per-view?
They don't, because they don't back it. My people don't.
Not single-handedly.
My people don't support our own fighters. That's been a fight. That's been a fight I've been having here in YouTube since 2008. That's why a lot of my people don't really deal with some of the things I say, because I go at it.
And that's the reason why people want to boycott this fight.
Yeah.
That I mean, as far as pay-per-view, I'm sure they'll stream it. Heck, I'll stream it. Like, but I'm not paying my money for this, like, at all.
And you have a right not to, of course.
Yeah, like I'll support fighter good fights on pay-per-view, and I think I hope that's a message that PBC and Top Rank and even a lot of these other promoters get, because I'm glad a fight like even Jake Paul looking at 65,000 pay-per-view buys for a rematch. I hope that's a trend. I hope that's a trend that goes into the sport of boxing, that we don't want to see these Charles Martin versus Ortiz on pay-per-view, and you have a guy even drop out because of COVID on that card, but you're not cheaping, you're not making the price cheaper.
Correct.
Hey, Chad, that was the number 65,000 for the Jake Paul fight with Woodley.
65,000 right now. They haven't done the digital sales, but they'll say it'll top out around 100,000 supposedly. The guy from DAZN came out and said it.
That's kind of messed up for the fighters underneath and the undercards. You know what I mean? But hey, it is what it is.
Well, I'm sure
I personally gonna fight.
I'm sure it was streamed for sure. But those numbers aren't counted.
Yeah, I'm personally gonna pay for the fight for a couple of reasons. One, because Ugas is Cuban and I'm Cuban. I want to see that happening. Two, because it's a good fight, whether it's the fight people don't want to see or not. And three, because I'm the one out here demanding Cubans that every time a Cuban fighter fights, to support it with the pockets so promoters can start seeing that Cubans also support their fighters. So if I'm out here demanding Cubans to support the fighters financially when they do fight, but then I'm the one saying I'm not buying the pay-per-view, then all of a sudden, what am I doing? Right? Like it would be kind of ridiculous, kind of hypocritical. Mario Brown here says, if y'all so confident Ugas beat Spence, y'all might as well take Spence off the P for P. Well, you clearly heard me say I don't think Ugas beat Spence. However, I'm not putting Ugas under the rug talking about it's an easy fight, 4 or 5 rounds max. And the problem in this comment is, I've stated plenty of times, I do not believe in the pound per pound list. It's a mythical list, not composed based on fighters' merits, but on other people's opinions about a fighter. So, yeah, I'll take him off the list because it's a mythical list. It doesn't have any weight, like at all, in my opinion, when it comes to when it comes to boxing. Too many guaranteed contracts on the PBC. That's a problem. That is a problem. But Apex Predator Spence isn't a PPV fighter. When was the bar lowered? Called 200 or 300K pay-per-view.
I agree.
Yeah. Hey,
it's been lowered overall in boxing, though. I mean, this is what it is.
Look at Tank Davis. They say Tank Davis did 250. I think that's a lie. I don't think Tank Davis did 250. But
UFC's still doing a mil.
Whoa. Oh yeah, but
it's the product that they're selling.
Of course.
But they're okay with it. Now they can just match their numbers. 250,000. That's good. That's good for Mark. Us.
I'm Cuban.
And that's ridiculous to me, man. Yeah. It's killing our sport, man. I'm just upset about it, man.
Yeah.
With that, I agree. If everybody wants to say, look, man, we need to boycott all these damn garbage fights all overall in pay-per-views, yeah, that I can agree with, because there's just way too many. But as far as, look, man, I think pay-per-view fights are unifications and stuff like that, big fights. You know what I mean? But outside of that, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I just think that I just think he said Tank did 60Ks. Is that a fact, or is that just an opinion? Did Tank versus Cruz did 60K? Because I know it's a lie. I know they didn't do 250, but did it do that low?
I think they did 100K.
They didn't release the official numbers. They didn't. I don't think they did. It was just rumored that it was under 100.
Because it's a failure. It's a failure. They don't want to get ousted like Jake Paul's getting ousted because Jake Paul went out and said, I'm a draw. Like I can sell pay-per-views. And then the number comes back, and now people are calling him out that he's not what he said he was. So that's the Floyd Mayweather. That Floyd Mayweather lived off of I'm the cash cow, mill. Like I sell over 1 million pay-per-view buys on average. So of course it's only pick and choose when it comes to Floyd. And I love Floyd as a fighter. You already know. Mm-hmm. I can look back on that. But Floyd as a promoter, Floyd as a salesman, he's not keeping it 100.
Yeah. It says 2 out of the 3 reasons be whatever about being Cuban. Shh. I thought we were here. We're here for best versus the best. Is Ugas not one of the best of that division? That's the only question I have.
Well,
and another question is, and hold on. And another question I'm going to say, Mark, is I've already stated Crawford and Spence was not going to happen next. So if not Crawford, who? Thurman. You can kiss Crawford goodbye until Crawford becomes a multiple fight deal. I see the pattern. I see how this guy's. I hope I'm wrong. But if not Crawford, who? Who else is the super champ? Who else? Who else? If not Crawford, who? What? Boots Ennis? Is that what some people want to say? Virgil Ortiz? Who?
If Spence was fighting a nobody, right? I mean, let's say his next fight was a nobody or whatever, and to give somebody a shot at the titles, I would be mad. I would be like, hell no, man. What you know what I mean? But he's fighting a champion. He's going to unify. I you know.
This right here from G Funky has always been my way of thinking. Like pay-per-view should be reserved for those mega clashes. You know, like or at least, yeah, it has to be super mega clashes because that's how it used to be also in the early 2000s. You used to see the Trinidad versus Mayorga, the Oscar de la Hoya versus a Trinidad, the Mayweather versus De La Hoya. You used to see the mega superstar fights in pay-per-view, you know, and then you used to see a lot of fights, quote unquote, for free on HBO, even though it's not free because it was a subscription based thing. You know,
yeah,
but today's market has changed.
Well, yeah, you know, the purses have gone up, man. I mean, fighters are getting paid a lot of money, man, and so the only way they're trying to get that money is by pay-per-view.
Drop that money, man. If it ain't matching the demand, they should drop it, man. Like or make the pay-per-views only a 2-fight deal, whereas co-main and main event have the rest of the card on free ESPN, Fox, whatever. Start promoting the fight there and have it for $30. I don't see the reason why we're paying $90 for a crappy undercard and the main event.
Blame Floyd and Al Heyman for introducing the first $100 price on pay-per-view. One of my retractors here say, if y'all look at the percentage of PPC stable that actually had fights in 2021, you'll be like, damn, Al Heyman ain't bruh. I've already said Al Heyman ain't about boxing. Al Heyman is about money. And the moves he makes, I personally, a lot of them don't like him. But we ain't going to stop Al Heyman. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I'm saying, what are you talking about for Crawford then? Who do I mean, are they playing the same card like everybody waiting for Canelo? All right, so Crawford is not going to fight Spence next. So who do they want Crawford to fight? I mean, like, get over it.
All the belts are in that one fight versus Ugas. Who is he going to fight?
Correct.
Honestly, or are they going to wait it out? It's going to be a year layoff, waiting to fight Spence. Like,
correct.
What are they going to do? I mean, they're going to put Thurman in there. Like, why? Why couldn't Thurman be in there with Spence? You know, the same. Keep it the same.
Well, but what would you want? But why would you want to see Spence versus Thurman? There's no belts there involved, but only Spence's. I want to see unification.
I get it, but you also have to think about the Crawford fight should have happened a long time ago. Crawford beat the guy who beat Manny Pacquiao a couple years back, Jeff Horn. Whether you think he beat him or not, on paper that's the truth.
Yeah,
you know, they should have been having that fight a long time ago. So I don't want to hear this selling the fight. They've been selling this fight for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
It no more marination.
He says here, why the hell are you calling me a detractor for? Just because you got disagreed? No, man. I open my panel's open, but you comfortable in the keyword section. It's not because you disagree. Chat disagrees with me. I'm here saying, don't boycott the fight. Chat is like, I'm boycotting the fight. I'm not paying for it. You ain't heard me call chat a retractor. I'm calling retractors the people that have done the things of a retractor. I don't just look at the comments in my video. I look at the comments in other videos. And when I see my name being mentioned, I put people where they belong. I just do. And that's where you got to be at right now.
So what's next for Crawford? What the hardcore Crawford fans want? Say something, man.
Ain't nobody dropped it though. Ain't nobody dropped it. Everybody quiet on that. So we already said the fight's not happening. What do y'all want from Crawford then? Who?
There's really nobody to fight. Honestly, I don't think there is anybody to fight at the moment. I mean, that's worth it. Pretty much everybody's tied up at this point because you have Thurman wasting time with Barrios. It shouldn't even be a fight. The dude just campaigned at 140 for the first time against Tank. Like, that's some bullcrap. Like, who wants to see that?
It's a tune-up fight. You know that's what it is. I mean, the guy hasn't fought in over 2 years.
But tune up against Lopez again. They don't want to go in tough. That's why. So why put something on?
But why would you think that Ugas is a tune-up? I mean, that's messed up.
No,
where the hell do you get that Ugas is a tune-up?
Ugas is a good fighter. I don't think
he's a great fighter.
I think he's a good fighter. The thing is, we should have already had the Crawford fight a long time ago. I'm tired of PBC mandating who we get to watch, when we get to watch them. It's been that way for the longest. Like, that's why
boxing,
I'm done.
bro.
No, that shouldn't be boxing, though. I tell you what I want to see as a consumer. You have to put out the product that I want to buy. Why should I buy something that you are selling me? Tell me why.
I guess that's everybody's right. You buy, you don't go to the store buy what they tell you. You buy what you need or want.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing.
What we needed a long time ago already was this Crawford fight. That's it. We didn't even get Thurman versus Spence because they wanted to be sissies, because Spence wanted to say, oh, well, he didn't want to give me the shot whenever I was coming up. That's your excuse?
Yeah.
That's your excuse? Come on,
well,
man.
That's what that. So as a free market, both in sports and outside of sports, the product is there. We're the one that choose to buy it or not, right? So it's kind of like I said at the beginning of the live stream, it's kind of like the spot where I'm gonna sort of partially contradict myself, because I'm like, if I don't want to fight, I don't pay for it. But then I see this fight and I have to be biased towards it. One, because Ugas is one of the best. Two, because Ugas has done what it takes to be here. Three, because if I'm out here demanding Cubans to support Cuban fighters, and I'm Cuban and I'm campaigning to boycott the fight, then that makes me look like a bit of a hypocrite. So, yeah, you don't. If somebody doesn't want the fight, don't buy it. Should the fight be paid for? I just put you an example. Has Ugas done what it takes? Is he one of the best? Isn't he the super champion? If not Crawford, who else?
But that wasn't the case before. Again, he was going to fight Pacquiao for the WBA regular and call it a unification. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, and G Funky said something very good in the chat right now. Have you ever seen two fighters coming off of losses and headlining a pay-per-view like Thurman and Barrios? This is so true, true. But we're just okay with.
Well, that fight shouldn't be pay-per-view. I agree with you 100%. That shouldn't be nothing of pay-per-view. That fight could be on Fox like nothing. But it is. I mean, that's where they're all messed up. But to say what's next for Crawford? You guys are just saying. I mean, the only Crawford hardcore fans are the only ones saying we're gonna buy the fight, which means you probably never were going to. The only thing you're voicing it, so you're not gonna make a dent into the pay-per-view numbers for them. So what's next for Crawford?
Yeah,
I guess you have to fight a mandatory.
Here says, give me a second, Philly. G Funky here says, have we ever seen two fighters coming off of losses and headlining a pay-per-view like Thurman versus Barrio? This pay-per-view madness needs to stop. I agree. Let's see, Roblox, and I'll reply at 10 p.m. East when I go live. Good night, fellas. Respectfully. No, definitely you can reply, man. But what I'm not gonna do is get in the back and forward reply videos with anybody else. That's why I dropped the link here, and people could have easily I get what you're saying, but I'm whatever you say, then I'm not gonna make a video in response to your video. I the link is there, and the door is open for whoever wants it. But I appreciate that. I appreciate it because I know you keep it respectful. You've always respected me, and that's the reason
Magnet's a good dude, man.
I have respect for you.
He's a you know, he's big time Crawford fan, and rightly so. I mean, you know,
and he's got a right to be. But you know, the question still stands: if not Ugas, if not Spence, who do we have? Who do we have? Let's see. Rica Ricardo, thank you so much for the support, man. Appreciate you. The objective of this sport is to unify, become undisputed, defend or move up. That's what I come. That's why I come out of pocket for. However, PBC equals PPVs gone wild. No mas. I agree. Drew, what's up, my man? Talk to me. And then once you're done, mute because you got a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I'm only going to stay on my foot just for this statement because I'm on a platform.
Okay.
First of all, you can't just blame the PBC. You got to blame the sanctioning bodies because they can make this, they could get this over with and make Terrence Crawford the mandatory for Errol Spence. He even asked on Twitter to make him the mandatory, the IDF. And what happened? It doesn't seem like these sanctioning bodies want unification. They want to benefit from the PBC, the WBA, and the WBC and the IDF want to benefit from the PBC. But here's the problem with pay-per-views on the PBC. When you have so many guaranteed contracts on the PBC, the only way that you're going to make money and try to profit off these contracts to be able to pay these guys is to have pay-per-view. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it. So that's why you have so many fights that shouldn't be on pay-per-view that the PBC makes up and puts them on pay-per-view. There's too many guaranteed contracts. You got Floyd claiming, they got people saying Al Heyman owes Floyd money. You got Logan Paul claiming Floyd owes him money for that fight, never paid him for that fight. So, and Adrian Broner says, I'm broke because Al Heyman hasn't paid me. So, that's the messed up thing. That's why the PBC is eventually going to go away, in my opinion. In the next 5 years, they won't be a PBC at the way they do business like this.
Well, I can tell you this. I know for a fact that the mistake they did with Canelo by giving him that one free shot plus a $30-something million, they ain't going to make that mistake no more. They're not going to allow Crawford to come in and get Spence on a one-fight deal. It's not going to happen because, look, Canelo took that belt with him. Who is Canelo now? Canelo's a free agent doing what he wants. Rightfully so.
They probably lost money on that fight.
Yeah, exactly. They lost money in that fight. They lost control of that weight division because when Caleb Plant had that belt, they had some control on that division. Now they got none. They're not going to make the same mistake with Crawford. To all these Crawford fans, it's not going to happen on a one-fight deal. Crawford's going to have to sign a multiple-fight deal. I would argue a 3 or 4 fight deal with PBC in order to get a shot at that belt at Spence Jr.
But if what Drew is saying is true, right, that they can't afford all these fighters, they need to put them on pay-per-view. Wouldn't signing Terrence Crawford, who we know isn't necessarily a big draw, according to Bob Arum, saying that he loses money promoting him, wouldn't that put them more in the red?
No, here's why. Because although according to Bob Arum, Terrence Crawford is bad for pay-per-view, and I would argue that anything other than Spence is bad for pay-per-view, I would say that when this fight does take place, people are going to buy that fight. People are going to buy that fight. That's going to be a fight that sells. And you know what? When that fight happens, if Crawford is a multiple fight deal under PBC, it doesn't matter which way the ship goes. The money stays in PBC, the reoccurrence stays in PBC, and the belts and the control stays at PBC. Al Heyman is already losing too much on other sides to allow the control of the welterweight division to go away from his hands.
But
I don't like it, but it's actually what's happening.
But if Crawford loses, doesn't that defeat the purpose? What does Crawford go into?
Well, remember,
fighting for a vacant belt if Spence vacates all of them? Like, what's the point then? The division is capped off. All you have is
He
Ennis.
moves up to 154.
Well, remember, yeah, exactly. Remember,
see, the argument is based on fans. You know what I mean? The Crawford fans, and it's not about what. It's just that well, poor old Crawford, right? And that's about it. You know what I mean? And I get it as a fan. If you're a fan of a fighter and you want him to get the great fights, and I get it, but it still doesn't negate that this is still a good fight.
Well, I'm not negating the fight that's going on with Ugas. Like, I'm saying that it shouldn't be the first one. Second of all, I just want boxing to win, and the way boxing is going right now, that's why I'm asking questions. That's why I'm pushing the envelope, because I want these boxing fans to start thinking about these things before they put their hard-earned money into it, and stop being a person who is dictated what to watch and when to watch it.
I think if whoever the winner of Spence and Ugas and Crawford fans, if he actually does fight somebody, or if he just waits it out. But if that's the case, I think if then both sides are demanding that this fight is now next, I think you're. But I mean, this it sounds like pouting, bro. Like, oh, I'm not gonna pay for this fight. And there's nothing's gonna come out of that. But I think if we force and push and hard and bark that whoever the winner of Spence and Ugas has to fight Crawford, or if Crawford's still champion, then I think undisputed. Yeah, that's a mega fight. I don't think that nobody's gonna deny wanting that.
Correct.
I think
look at this last comment. Canelo took the belts and left the division. Canelo has the belts. Yes, he's left the division, but he's not out of, he's not fully out of the division. I mean, he might come back to 168 for a good fight, but here's the problem. Benavidez, which is a fight everybody wants, is a BBC fighter, isn't he? Isn't he? He is, right? So here's the question. Do you think the PBC is going to make the exact same mistake they just did with Caleb Plant and giving Canelo all this money on a one-fight deal to fight one of their fighters who has no belt? And Canelo comes and beats this fighter and leaves again, and PBC's left in the hole all over again? It's not going to happen. It's all about the money and the control. Again, I feel like a broken record repeating it. I don't like it, but that's the way they operate. Unfortunately, that's the way they operate.
So, absolutely. I mean,
I don't understand how people, people just don't see that. You don't have to like it, but that's the pattern they've been choosing, and I hate it. But when you look at the patterns, then you understand why, and then you can save yourself all the headaches as to, why isn't this fight? No, you already know why. And then if you already know why, then you know what to do next time they put up a bad show. No, you're not getting this. Get to smoke. The PBC lost a lot of money with that one fight deal with Canelo.
I think the fight would mean more if it was undisputed. I think that's why I would be cool with the Ugas fight, because it means more undisputed if Spence versus Crawford is undisputed instead of for just free belts and a win magazine. So
the buildup is massive now for that, big time massive, because so many years waiting for this, and then that. Now, just like Chad, if they don't do this, let's say Spence does beat Ugas, and Spence does not fight Crawford next, we got problems, because that's exactly what we all want to see. And I think it's a much bigger fight if it happens that way anyway. Like you just said, Drew, it's undisputed. That's a massive fight with all this buildup and the back and forth nonsense that we've been, we're going through, and we even got people not wanting to boycott. You can imagine the buildup for that fight. That's going to be an awesome fight.
Correct. And guess what? If Bud Crawford is a fighter under the PBC, it doesn't matter which way the belts go. They're still under PBC control. It doesn't matter who else wants this belt. They have to do business with the PBC, and the PBC is going to continue to be the A side on any of these businesses as long as they possess the power over that weight division. That's what they're wanting. They're wanting to control the money, to control the power, and to control the division. That's what they're wanting. They are not keeping it a secret. They're not keeping it a secret. I was telling you guys a few live streams ago. They've literally told you guys in interviews publicly, we are not here for legacy. We are here for money. And the minute they tell you these things and you keep asking yourself, why are we getting, then I'm like, are you not paying attention? I'm not saying that when you pay attention, you are green. No, you're getting the answers you're seeking as to why aren't we getting the fights we want to see? Because their first objective is money. What do we have to do? Again, I go back to the same thing where I contradict myself. Don't buy the products you don't like. But in this case, because of the things I've said, because of the things I have promoted for Cubans, because of personal beliefs that when a fighter does its due diligence to position himself at the top, he should be at the top. I, in this case, say, buy the fight.
I think the sooner fans understand that professional boxing is not driven by competition, but by business of money, you will understand how things roll. Professional boxing is not about legacy. It happens because there's money involved with it, but when there isn't, it doesn't just happen like that. You want the best competition to fight the best competition? Go to the amateurs. That's where you'll see it at.
Correct.
But you're not going to see it in professional boxing.
Correct. You got the amateurs. People are fighting, hungry to be national champions, hungry to win Golden Gloves, hungry to be world champs, hungry to be Pan American
there's
champs,
a bracket.
Hungry to be Olympic champs, because they know if they come home with any of those titles, when they sign a professional record, a professional contract, there's big money behind it, because they come as Olympic champions, because they come as Pan American champions, because they come as national champions or world amateur champions.
There's only big money if we pay it, plain and simple.
Correct. I mean, it's kind of crazy, to be honest with you, but I mean, yeah, man, this is where I'm in the middle of my two arguments, because it's like, put it this way. Say a family of mine owns a store, and I want that family member of mine to do good and have good businesses. But I would tell people, if you don't like what he sells, just don't go in there and buy it. But if you ask me, I'll say, but I want you to buy it because I want my family member to do good. You see, that's where I'm at in this whole situation. I want Ugas to do good. I want Cubans to support Cubans. So therefore, I'm Cuban, so I have to support Cubans before I demand Cubans to support Cubans. But at the same time, I tell you guys, if you don't want it, don't buy it. That's a free market. That's a free market. You don't pay for the things you don't want to buy.
There was that one comment. It was so what if Ugas does he spoils it? So would it be a bad fight then to see undisputed Ugas versus Crawford?
It would tank on pay-per-view, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Who cares about it? Is it a good fight?
I think it's a good fight. I do think actually Ugas has a big chance of upsetting Spence, man. I just think that Spence can be very slow, telegraphing with his punches. I mean, if he can get in through on the body, that's great. But man, Ugas has a good jab. He has a good jab. So you got to give him that.
Well, and when I look at the poll here,
so then Ugas versus Crawford for undisputed, is that a bad fight or is that a great fight to watch?
It's not.
It's great in the fact that we get to see undisputed at 147, which hasn't happened since.
But Judah? Stylistically, though, chat, this is now this is how I'm going to picture point the question at you. Stylistically, now keep in mind the style of fighting of Ugas, the amount of engagement Ugas offers, because people say we like Mexicans because they go to war. Ugas is a go-to-war type of fighter. Why is it that other fighters get the credit when they go to war, but somehow Ugas is a go-to-war fighter no credit is given. So stylistically speaking, why is Ugas versus Crawford not a hell of a fight? Especially knowing that it has history from the amateurs, that Ugas easily beat Crawford in the amateurs, especially know that Ugas retired Pacquiao. Ugas, in this case, counting that he beat Spence, he beat Spence. So when you put all of that together and you build up this story, stylistically, first and foremost, and then story-wise, how is this not a hell of a fight? That's the hard one.
I think it's a good fight. I think the hardcores will definitely buy it, man.
I would.
But again, you have a guy like Ugas who again hasn't sold pay-per-view, man. He just is not a draw. Like, and then you have Crawford, who may be a draw in Omaha and can get TV views on ESPN Plus, but I mean, when he did test that pay-per-view market against Postal, what was it, like 200 or 150,000 buys? I can't remember that far back right now, but yeah, I mean, appeal-wise, it doesn't sit well. But I think it's good in the fact that we get an undisputed champion if it does happen. That's if. I mean, PBC has had a control of that 147. Al Heyman with Floyd has had the control of 147 for the longest, man. And why haven't we seen an undisputed champion, man? That's why I'm still sitting on the fact that, man, Spence could bounce and not lose any sleep over it. Plain and simple. And it's going to be due to the fact of money. That's what gets me kind of flustered and frustrated, because that could be, well, that is the history of PBC. That is the history of Al Heyman. We have not seen an undisputed champion. Floyd was the best at 147. We never got an undisputed champion at 147. So
correct.
I don't know. I'm not buying what they're selling. That's for sure.
And that's people's. I mean, again, I'm caught in the middle of this argument. I don't want. Look, I didn't want to see Jake Paul versus Woodley, so I just didn't buy it. All right.
And another thing on top of that, PPC was selling no pay-per-view model. Remember when they got all those Fox, those deals with Fox and ABC or NBC? I can't remember who it was. And then all of a sudden they're oversaturating the heck out of the market. So again, they don't keep their promises. So, oh man, sorry, I can't stand it right now. I just can't stand it.
I hear you. I think there's two arguments here, and one that I'm on board with you, Chad. Yeah, I agree. The oversaturation of pay-per-view fights, I think everybody's like, F that. Yeah. And that I'm on board with you in itself. And I think I don't think you'll find that argument with anybody. I think it's oversaturated, especially by the PBC with any rinky-dink fight as pay-per-view. I absolutely agree. It's garbage. I think it's bad for the sport, amongst other things. But you got to compartmentalize the argument about Ugas and Spence. That's a great fight. That's a good fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's a good fight. It's a unification fight from two of the best guys in the division for a long time. Yeah. I think it's a great fight. Period.
Best fight of the best.
So I'm okay with that. But to conflate that with the other argument, Thurman and Barrios, absolutely, that's trash for it to be pay-per-view. Correct. You know what I mean? That's absolutely trash. To see Tank and Isaac Cruz, that was trash. Thinking of it to be pay-per-view. You know what I mean? I 100% agree with you and anybody else who has that argument.
Now, watch this comment, HLD. Watch this. I'm from Philly Jew. But if the IBF and the WC mandates him to fight Crawford, he could move up and not fight. Then I will say he's ducking Crawford. Then we all have arguments to say, now he really ducking Crawford. But as of now, I'm telling people Spence is not ducking Crawford. There is a master puppet behind this, and it's called Al Heyman saying, listen to me. But he's saying, listen to me, because he's going to make money to these fighters. And he also playing the cards in the correct way in order to keep the control of this division, in order to have the belts under the PBC, because if he has the belts, he has the money. So I agree. I said it probably halfway into the live stream. I don't only blame Al Heyman. I think that if the sanctioning bodies mandate this fight and follow through with the consequences of not respecting the mandate, I think we would see the fight. I think we would, in fact, start seeing a lot of good fights. But if the sanctioning bodies don't mandate, or they do mandate, but then do not apply the consequences of not following through with the mandate, then they're still going to they're going to continue to do these things. And guess what? The sanctioning bodies, they after that money.
They work for the promoters in the game.
Exactly. I mean, so we can sit here and blame Al Heyman all we want to, and yes, he's got a big part in this pie that he needs to be blamed for. But at the end of the day, the sanctioning bodies are just as guilty.
It's all about money, guys.
Correct. Benjamin Franklin is too powerful. It's too damn powerful.
Somebody's got to fight for boxing, though. Somebody's got to fight for boxing.
Correct.
But boxing's never really ever been about legacy. It just happens to be in the market back in the old day, right? Because that's what's
back
sold.
In the 90s, even early 2000s.
That's what's sold. But the market has changed, and the demographics has changed, and the type of fans have changed. And so, hey, if I could sell snow to an Eskimo, I'm gonna sell snow. And that's what's happening. And so if they can make it happen that way and make money, they're gonna keep on doing it. But that's professional boxing in itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're taking advantage of the new generation of boxing fans. Remember, boxing has always had casual fans. I mean, I would argue very comfortably that the majority of the people that watch boxing have always been casuals. But nowadays, there's been a shift. Before 60% of the population that watch boxing were casuals. Now I would say it's about 80 or 90. Easily. Like you come to the YGBC, for example. You read the comments section. You see all of this stuff, and it's like, man, these people don't really follow boxing from the sports. They follow boxing from the argumentative standpoint. Oh, he said he's ducking him. Why is he ducking him? He said, just because he said he's ducking him don't mean that's actually what's happening. There's another thing happening under the table. If you ask some of these fighters, they'll tell you YouTube doesn't make any fights happen. We don't, unfortunately, we have lost a power that to begin with, we almost never really had. We've never really had, as a fan, the power to dictate the sport, even though that we could start implementing it by, again, me in the middle of two arguments, not buying what we don't want to see, and hope that in the middle of the numbers tanking even deeper, that one day they'll see, damn, I got to change my strategy because people are not buying my products. But, it's a change in the demographic. It's a change in the way people are doing business. It's crazy. It's crazy. We're failing to realize that Fox Sport has the best promotion out of all networks. They might, but what's going on? If Crawford or Spence were bigger draws, we would have gotten the cross networks deal. Maybe Get the Smoke. Maybe.
I kind of agree with that, with what Get the Smoke is saying. Because if Crawford was a big draw, see, why did we get Canelo versus Plant? Because we know there was a big draw.
Maybe, but then the hate between PBC and Top Rank is kind of big.
But that wasn't a cross promotion. That was a one fight deal. Remember, that's why we got to see that. It was on Fox paper, or no, Showtime. That's
but just like any fights, and this is one thing I don't like Leonard Ellerby, but one thing I like is he keeps they're in to make money. They're not here to lose money. And so if the purse for two fighters is too big to make money, they're not going to make it happen. They're not going to make it happen because it doesn't make it. They're not there to lose money as promoters.
Yeah. Look at this one. A lot of people seem to forget that Yordenis Ugas was number 1 against Spence 3 years ago, but somehow Ocampos was made mandatory. That's what I was telling people in the last interview, in the last live stream. This Ugas Spence deal has been going around for years. Ugas, even though people say he's lost 4 times, when a fighter keeps doing the due diligence to stay up there, forget about it. Forget about it. I mean, it is what it is. Mario Brown, his Virgil and Boots both called Crawford out. He should fight one of them. Maybe that would be a hell of a fight. That would be a hell of a fight. The welterweight division is going to have a future, with or without the belts. I think if this fighters, say a Boots Ennis versus a Crawford, it's announced tomorrow, I guarantee you that it will sell more pay-per-views than Ugas versus Spence. I guarantee you that. A Boots Ennis versus Crawford, or a Virgil Ortiz versus Crawford, will sell more than this Ugas. And if people start going in that route, maybe, just maybe, the PBC will have to start making a little bit of a shift in the way they do business. But unfortunately, the sanctioning bodies are in with these promoters. The money's being made. We are being played in the correct way, not just in some of the fights, in a lot of the fights. I don't see it changing anytime soon. I really don't see it. Wilder versus Fury show PBC in Top Rank is down for the bag. Yeah, that was a good fight. And I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, that fight even took place to begin with. Really. I never expected Al Heyman to go into business with Top Rank 3 times, really. Let alone 1 time, but 3 times? Even though that the 3rd time was because of the legalities of the contracts and all that stuff. But man, first time visitor, like the show, yo. Hey, thank you so much, man. We're not always going to agree, but long as we respect the fact we have difference of opinion, we might have a good journey, man. We getting ready to calling it quits for the night, guys. I'm going to continue on here with the comments and then allow these 2 gentlemen to elaborate on other things if they have anything else to say. G Funky here says, Bob Arum and Don King hated each other, but put that aside to make money, and we got great fights because of that. Correct. I stand corrected on that, G. My mans. Talk to me. Anything else before we call it quits for the night? It's been a good live stream, and I want to appreciate you guys.
Yo, if there's a fight to boycott, it's that Martin Ortiz, man. That's some garbage.
Again, I'm not boycotting it because that's also a Cuban fighter.
Frank Sanchez's opponent just dropped out. And, they're not cheap. They're not making that pay-per-view cheaper. Heck no. Boycott the heck out of that fight. Show PBC, not only PBC, all these promoters, man. Because I'm tired of this promoter like bullcrap for real, man. I'm tired of them dictating what we get to see in the sport. It's over, man. It's over. It should be over, and you guys got to hop on that bandwagon. Doesn't matter. Stop being a fan of the fighter. Be a fan of the boxing. Be a fan of boxing
of the sport.
Period.
I agree. HLD, my mans, what's up?
Well, I'm boycotting Thurman and Barrios, man. I'm gonna put a picket line, and we're gonna boycott that. But overall, man, look, man, I understand, man. Those who are the Crawford fans, yeah, you want to see your guy, get that chance at Spence and whatnot. And I understand the frustration on that side. But I'm not. But at the same time, it's not for me to throw sand over Ugas and Spence, because I still think I think that's a hell of a fight for us to watch. So I'm looking forward to it. Besides that, nothing else to add.
Definitely. G Funky here says this was a great live raw boxing. #HCP. That's for sure, my man. Boycott Thurman versus Barrios. The losers pay-per-view, and that's correct. 2 losers coming in to give you guys a PPV fight, man. That's boxing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for separating time today to hang with your boy here. It's been a pretty good live stream today. It's been a pretty good a good way to talk about the topics we've been talking about today. And hopefully, and this is me being very hopeful or naive, hopefully we start seeing some major changes in boxing. But if you really want the truth, we're not going to get it. And so the only opportunity that we have, the only tool that we have is that the great privilege of being in an open market to where you're ultimately going to choose the fights you want to buy and the fights you don't want to buy. And so with that being said, man, I want to thank all of those of you that spent the time here tonight. HLD in collaborations with Chad Perez and Raw Boxing TV. Till next time, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, drop the link of this live stream in all your social media platform. I'm out. Guys, thank you so much.
Peace, blessings, out.
Yeah. Hey, yo.